Welcome to Shamba Shape Up.
We have traveled all over East Africa to find hard-working farmers.
We want to celebrate them while giving them the knowledge they need,
so they can adapt and make their farms more productive even while the climate changes.
We want to support them to get better yields and increase their income.
We meet families and enter their kitchens to explore how to cook in cleaner, faster, cheaper ways, while at the same time increasing family nutrition.
We will see how farmers from across the region can benefit from our experts' advice,
while also learning from each other in so many ways.
Join us on these journeys and share in the farmers' experience as they shape up their shambas
on the Shamba Shape Up Safari.
Welcome
to Shamba Shape Up.
Today we are going to meet a very sweet man.
He used to work at the local sugar factory.
Not surprising, in an area famed for his sugar cane.
And what is surprising is what happened next.
Yes, he left his job in the factory to take up a job as a farmer.
And we want to find out how he's been doing.
Or if life is sweeter on the farm.
Or back at the sugar factory.
Caro, let's go find out. Today we are visiting a 6-acre farm in Isongo, Kakamega.
It's run by James and Nancy Titiya.
James used to work at the Mumia's sugar factory, a big local employer. But at 55, he decided to retire early to concentrate on farming.
He says he's never regretted his decision and makes more money now than he ever did at the sugar factory.
So when I joined farming, it gave me an opportunity to plan for myself. There I was working on somebody's plan, but here I am the director, I am everything. So if I have to choose between formal and informal employment, I'll go in for informal employment, where I'll have to manage the resources myself.
A man who likes to be his own boss, Caro.
I like that, Tony.
James!
Hi, Tony.
Hey,
Carol.
How are you?
How are you? Guys from the team.
Good to see you.
Yes, how are you?
Welcome.
How's it going?
It's okay. Yeah.
Are we in time for Obusuma?
Can I ask Madam, we have something that is reserved. Can I ask Madam?
Any time is eating time.
Yeah.
We are ever ready.
Yes. Now, your cows, I've seen you have some cows. How much milk are you getting from your cows?
4 liters or 3 liters in the morning.
Yes.
In the evening, the same.
So that's about 24 liters in a day.
24 liters in a day, yeah.
What if you get 20?
I'll be so grateful. Hey.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Talking about yield, what if something happens to your maize? What if something happens to your cow? Have you ever thought about that?
As human beings, I don't plan for death.
Yes.
But I know when you are planting maize, you can have drought.
Yes.
And then that would be a disaster for a farmer.
Yes.
So now we are going to pitch our tent,
Yes.
get our experts ready
Yes.
to get started.
I'll be so grateful.
All
Right, we'll see you later.
Okay, bye. See you guys.
James told me he buys bale of hay to feed his cows. He could save quite a bit of money if he boosted his own fodder production. That's why I have invited Ruth Othiambo from the International Center of Tropical Agriculture, CIAT, to advise how. Ruth is already inspecting the cow feed.
I was checking actually what the cows are feeding on, and I came to find out that they are actually feeding on hay. Where did you get this one from?
This one I bought it. I bought a bag at 600 shillings.
600 shillings.
Yeah.
How many bags that your cows feed on per day?
I have four cows.
Yes.
So I feed them on 2 bags per day.
On 2 bags per day.
Yeah.
Okay, so per day you are spending 1,200 shillings
Yes.
to feed your 4 cows.
Yes.
Do you know which variety is this?
No, I know it is hay.
It is you just know it is hay.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of panicums?
No.
Panicums.
Yeah.
Panicums is also a grass that is fed to the cows, just like this one. It is even better than the napier that we are feeding. It is better in terms of protein content.
Yeah.
We know that the napier has a protein content of between 8 to 10%. Panicum has up to 14%. Yeah, and it is also drought resistant. If you had planted panicum, you will be having your forage grass on your farm, just harvesting and feeding to the cows, or maybe you would have made your own hay.
Yeah.
You would have saved that. They actually grow fast and mature very early. The normal growth period for Panicum is up to 8 weeks, but during rainy season you can harvest between 4 to 6 weeks.
Yes.
That is the time you harvest, and then you do the hay or you do the silage. Then you feed during the dry season. You'll be having feed throughout the year. So for now, we'll be preparing nursery. It is easy to manage in the nursery, like weeding and watering. You are also sure of your plant population when you do from nursery. Like you'll only be selecting the good ones from the nursery that you transplant.
Okay, I'm sure you have gone around the Shamba and you have maybe identified a place where we can put up the nursery.
Yes.
All right, let's go.
Okay.
Let's get straight to it. First, we need to measure out the nursery bed. It should be 1 meter wide and as long as you want. It's good to raise your bed so you can easily manage your crop. Here's what to do. Take the rope and peg it into the ground. Roll the rope out across the length of the nursery, making sure that it's straight, and peg it on the other side. Using the rope as a guide, mark a straight line on both sides of the nursery. Next, spread well rotten manure across the nursery. You'll need around 3 kilograms of manure per meter of nursery. Now it's time to create your furrows. Space out lines 10 centimeters apart and make shallow furrows across the width of the bed. Do these across the whole nursery. Because the Panicum seeds are so tiny, it is best to mix them with the topsoil, so it's easy to plant them. Sprinkle them over the furrow lines and cover lightly with soil. Lastly, spread mulch across the field. This will protect the seeds from the sun and keep the soil moist. It is best to water in the evenings when it's nice and cool. How much water should the farmer sprinkle on the nursery for now?
Just make sure that the water is enough but not excess to overflow. Then every week you'll be checking for presence of weeds, and then you also check if the seeds are starting to emerge. After the seedlings have formed like 3 to 4 leaves, you start hardening off. By hardening off, I mean you reduce the water that you are sprinkling, and then you also reduce the mulch. That will now expose the plant to the harsh environment before you do the transplant.
So what do you have here?
The variety that we have planted and date of planting that I've just brought to the farmer.
One last thing before we call this nursery completed. Ruth instructed Caris on how to build a cover for James' nursery. This will help keep the seeds protected from the harsh weather as they germinate. Caris has done it again. The nursery is good to go. Now that the top cover is in place, we can remove the mulch from below. If James takes care of his Panicum well, it can last him up to 10 years. Apart from fodder crops, James wants to plant maize. So I asked Levi Murumba from Fadhili, Africa to come and do a soil test. This will help with both the fodder planting and with the maize. Levi is using an AgroCare's hand scanner that can provide soil analysis results less than 1 hour from arriving at the farm. And you have the results?
Yes, I have. I can send to you now.
I was told you take 1 year to make a soil test.
The technology we use, within an hour, you have your results.
The soil test has told us James needs to add good quality compost to his soil to get a good harvest.
You said he needs to add lots of organic manure.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have organic manure in your Shamba?
I have some, yes, but in most cases I buy.
We will do something to help you with that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I've asked Dr. Caroline Kundu, here today representing the Eco Business Fund, to give us some advice. James has already received a supply of compost he bought locally. But from the look of Carol's face, I don't think she's impressed. So, let's find out what makes a good compost.
James, where did you get this manure from?
I bought it from my fellow farmers.
Your fellow farmers. Think it must have been rained on and then they didn't turn it so well, it's also not fully decomposed. Anything that is not fully decomposed still cannot be used because it's likely to have pathogens that will bring crop diseases to the soil. And I don't know, when did you put this one here?
5 days ago.
5 days ago.
Yeah.
You see, you've left it here for that long. Yeah. So the quality is slowly deteriorating because of being exposed to the sunlight. You need to have it under some shade. You need to protect it from loss of nutrients.
Right.
My advice is you can have your own compost so you can save on money.
So is there a place that this compost has to be put specifically, or we can just put it anywhere?
We need to find an appropriate site for the compost to be collected. Yes.
And what are the advantages of having this compost?
The advantage, first of all, is compost is a cheap way of having nutrients to supply to the soil.
Yes.
Because it will not cost you anything if you make your own. Number two is that compost improves on soil water holding capacity because you know water is very necessary for crops.
Yes.
I think this place is ideal for us to have the compost. First of all, it's flat, and then it's a little bit shaded from the sun, so there will be no loss into the atmosphere, and is close to the animal place where he can bring in his material.
All right. Caris?
So Caris, we are going to make 3 compartments of 2 meters long each, so that makes 6 meters in length, and then the width is 1.5 meters. The height should be 1.5 meters.
All right, so let's give Caris some space to do his thing.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so here's the wood and we're ready to start. Caris is building a composter with 3 sections. The reason for this is that it takes 3 to 4 months to produce compost. So, with 3 sections, there'll always be compost ready for use throughout the year. It's vital the composter has a roof. This keeps out direct sunlight. Sunlight kills the microbes that help break down the compost. To make compost, fill the first section with dry leaves and other residue from the farm. Add slurry, urine, and dung from your cows or any other livestock. You can also add ash from the kitchen fire and organic matter such as kitchen waste. Do not put in any metal, plastics, or glass, as these will not break down. Caris is building an aerobic composter. This kind of composter needs to be turned every week. It's also good to add water when doing this. This lets the compost rot well and become rich in nutrients. After 1 month, do not add any more dry matter to your first heap. Keep turning and adding water, and the compost will be ready to use in 3 months. If you have more dry matter, add it to the second section and follow the same steps. It's important to stop adding dry matter after 1 month so that you don't interfere with the rotting process. So remember, to make compost, mix together farm residue, urine and dung from your cows, and organic matter such as kitchen waste. Ash from the fire is good too. Turn every week, adding a small amount of water. And in 3 months, the compost is ready to use. Generally, 1 acre of land needs around 2 tons of compost. Check your soil test to know how much you need.
Carol.
Yes, Tony.
How is it going?
The going is perfect. Our farmer is learning how to save money by making his own compost.
Yes, and there's still more to come.
Right after the break.
We are in Kakamega.
And we are visiting farmer James Titia.
Earlier, James told us he plans to plant maize. So, I'm looking for a special expert to help out. We have already done a soil test and started a composting system. So now we are ready to start preparing the land. And there he is. And he's brought his tractor too, just as I asked. That's great. Meet Simon Mwinzi, today representing the World Food Program under the Farm to Market Alliance. He's going to be talking about conservation agriculture, where the 3 key principles are 1. Crop rotation, 2. Leaving crop residue to cover and protect the soil, and 3. The topic we'll be discussing today, minimum tillage. As we travel to James' farm, we pass by a field where the farmers used maximum tillage, otherwise known as a disc plow. We have arrived on James' farm. Simon is going to show us a way to prepare the land that does not damage the soil. It's quicker and cheaper than using a disc and helps stop climate change. It's called minimum tillage. Today we'll be using the Dume Reaper.
James, when you are plowing here, preparing your land, how do you prepare it?
Initially, I used a tractor, the disc tractor.
And clears everything?
Clears everything. Yeah.
You clean the shamba?
Yes.
What's wrong with doing that? And I think we saw a bit of it as we are driving in. Yes.
Soil erosion. Because once the soil is tilled in such a manner, it's left vulnerable to the elements of erosion like water and wind.
Yes.
And again, doing that is an unnecessary cost because the farmer will not plant on all the portions of the farm he has tilled.
So now, what is the solution to all that?
To introduce what we call conservation agriculture.
Yes.
With conservation agriculture, the first basic principle is minimum tillage. And that is why we have this equipment here. Now, this magical equipment is called a Dume Reaper.
Okay, I'm looking at it and I'm seeing different components.
Yes.
How does it operate?
Here we have the frame.
Wow.
On the frame we have these parts here, we call them the coulters.
Coulters?
Coulters, yes.
What's the purpose of coulters?
In conservation agriculture, we encourage retention of residue. Like you can see on this portion of the farm, we have stovers of his previous crop. So these ones cut up the residue so that they don't clog the working time.
So this is what now? What do you call this?
These now are what we call the tines. These are now what do the heavy work. They get into the soil, break your hard pan, and give you your planting lines.
These are the reapers?
They are the reapers, exactly.
Wow.
The beauty is they are adjustable. If you want to do your crop at a 75 centimeter row spacing, for instance, you just slide them and adjust them accordingly. If you want to do wider, you slide them again and adjust it accordingly.
Wow. And how deep do they go?
30 centimeters at least. When you go 30 centimeters down, you're assured of having cracked your hard pans on the farm. Because the hard pan will not allow water to percolate into the soil. That is why you find most farms having a lot of runoff.
This breaks it?
This breaks the hard pan and allows you now to harvest water into the rip lines. Actually, we call it putting water in the bank.
This puts water in the bank?
Yes.
Did you get that, James?
Yeah.
Now I am seeing are they rollers? What are these?
It's called the crumbler. The crumbler is to break clods of soil.
It's also like a hammer.
Yeah.
Hits them.
Hits them as it
into
falls.
Small pieces.
Yes.
It
leaves now your farm ready for the seed because there are no big clods of soil. So in one pass, your rip line is already done and it's ready for manure and fertilizer and seed application.
How fast is it to use this?
Quarter of an acre, that's about at most 20 minutes.
20 minutes?
You're done.
And with a normal tractor, how long do you think it would take?
Around 45 minutes.
45 minutes?
Yeah.
Well, that sounds fantastic. Using a reaper is a cheaper way to prepare the land. It keeps water in the soil and reduces erosion. It helps stop the buildup of weeds and protect the beneficial soil microbes. All this while at the same time improving crop yield.
How about the space that is remaining there? How will I weed the crop?
We don't want you to dig your weeds deep. We want you to do shallow weeding. Kind of like what you do in the morning on your beard. You don't want to cut your cheek as you do it. You do it lightly. So the same thing applies here. That is one way of controlling weeds. But the most effective way to control weeds on a big portion of land is to use herbicides.
How many bags of maize can he get from 1 acre after using all the good farming practice and conservation agriculture?
Tony, what I can tell you is we've seen farmers double what they usually get.
Yeah, that will be good.
That would be good?
Yeah.
Hello there, at home, there's been a lot of misinformation concerning the COVID-19 vaccine.
But it is important that you get it as soon as possible. We have asked some people why they think it is important that you get the vaccination.
We've not been able to work, travel, or go for events. For us to be able to do this again, we all need to get the COVID-19 vaccination.
We've heard many stories about how this vaccination is not good for you, but these stories are not true.
We have not been able to get together with our friends and families. We don't want you to die. So when the time comes, get vaccinated.
We really should listen to the experts. We are asking you to trust the facts and the research done by leading doctors and scientists all over the world.
People are dying and there's something we can do about it. We can stop this. We do not want you to get sick. We do not want your families or your friends to get sick.
We don't want you to die. Go on, get vaccinated.
So, our maize is ready for planting. But what happens if disaster strikes and the rains fail? Well, Joseph Shege is an insurance expert and he has some exciting news about a new low-cost product that is perfect for small-scale farmers such as James. Let's find out all about it.
There's too much rain, there is flooding, drought.
As a farmer, definitely I'll lose.
You will lose.
Yeah,
How
I'll
will that
lose.
make you feel?
Normally, that is what discourages farmers from farming, because you lose all your crop, you have nothing, no capital to start up again, you give up.
We have a product for smallholder farmers that covers you for drought and excessive rainfall. And I think that is a major risk that farmers face here. It's affordable and covers you for the major risks. These are the drought and excessive rainfall. It's called a rainfall index insurance. You can either have two options. You can cover the cost of production. This is like the amount of money that you're putting into your business to buy fertilizer, seed, labor, or you can insure the expected production, how much revenue you're expecting from your farm. When you do that, then it'll actually give you like a quotation. How much premium are you supposed to pay for that? Yes.
What is the least amount of money that our farmer can take out insurance?
The least is actually 50 shillings. If you're paying 50 shillings, it's actually covering you for 500 shillings. So this is like the cost of buying one bag of seed, okay, for maize. Some farmers would say, I want to invest 40,000, I want to invest 50,000. You can choose that, but apply a premium rate of 10%.
For example, Joseph, our farmer decides, I've invested 1,000.
Yes.
How much does he need to pay?
He'll pay 10% of that. That is 100 shillings.
100 shillings.
Yeah.
And then what happens after the season? A calamity has happened.
When you get 100% compensation, that means your crop did not receive rainfall at all. Using satellite, we are able to monitor the amount of rainfall. We already know this crop requires this amount of rainfall. If it receives like 50% of that rainfall, that means it's causing 50% damage. We'll compensate you 50% of what you had insured. So as a farmer, when you're planning before you plant your crop, you'll actually look at the cost of seed, fertilizer, labor. You also need to include the cost of insurance there. You want to cover the investment of 10,000, so you need to have 10% of 10,000. That's 1,000 shilling in your M-Pesa account, so that you can cover 10,000.
Joseph is recommending rainfall insurance, and you don't need to buy in town. You can buy it using a mobile phone directly on your farm, and costing from as little as 50 bob.
So you don't have to go to Kakamega town and look for an insurance company. So we are going to use your phone, and then I will actually be able to demonstrate and show you how to activate insurance.
Okay.
Click here, like you want to make a call, then dial star 800 hash. So you can see there are different, it's like a menu, but for this particular product, weather index insurance, you will click number 2. It's called Bima Pima. Proceed, send. In this particular location, we don't have a sales agent. So what you do, you will buy Bima Pima insurance, dial number 1. So you select maize, send. The least that you can pay is 50 shillings, covering you for 500. Send. then send. You're planning to plant when? This month, eh?
Should be third week.
Third week, then you can select 3 and send. If you have money in your M-Pesa, you can select 1. Or if you don't have money, you can select number 2. You pay in bits. You're a rich man, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you wait a little bit, it's actually prompting you to M-Pesa. Then key in the PIN. So you get a message confirming receipt of that payment.
I'm happy.
Your farm is covered.
Yeah.
Everything is now done.
Yeah.
So follow good agricultural practices and you're good to go. I am happy.
I'm also very happy. Shamba Shape Up visit has really benefited me. I have learned things that I had never known that I do them wrongly. And if I change my way of farming, my colleagues will learn from that. And this country, definitely it will be a sustained economy. Yeah.